Do you know what? I have never classed myself as a radical. But I've been having some very interesting conversations lately. And apparently, the mere thought and suggestion of the men's rights community and the feminist movement joining together under one banner is radical. It's ridiculous. Over the last few days, I have been called a clown. I have been told I have a hive mind, and it's beyond me that men and women are very happy with their woe is me, poor me attitude. That the mere concept of changing the world, changing society's thinking, wanting to make a better society, a better place, a more equal society, makes me a radical. On top of the fact that most of them didn't even understand the concept of where feminism actually comes from, and the fact that feminism actually embodies equality. It's what it is. It's the whole reason for it. The toxic people on both sides of the argument, men and women, men's rights community, there are toxic men, and on the feminist community, there are toxic feminists. They have corrupted. The corruption on both sides is insane, and people are so used to it that they've almost become happy with living in this woe is me attitude and poor me, oh woe is me society, in which they need to validate themselves. And it's exactly what it is. It's this concept that people need to validate who they are, no matter who and what they are, whether you're man, woman, non-binary, LGBTQ plus, part of, or any other society, it's like the whole world has felt the need to validate itself, and in doing so they've created this woe is me attitude because they're not allowed to be equal to each other, but at the same time they don't want to be, because if they were actually equal they'd have nothing to complain about. They'd lose this ability to moan and whinge about everybody else and validate it. They'd have nothing left to validate. If we were actually equal in society, what's left? But there is so much more to the world than just society. So I've been deemed radical because I believe that it's time for people to move forward. And change and stop living in this concept of woe is me, I'm so hard done by. I am so sick of hearing it. And if you're not even willing to listen, you're not even willing to try and change, what's the point? Why are we fighting so hard for equality if you don't even want to change? And that was the argument they couldn't answer. They just threw hive mind back at me and tried to tell me that feminism was toxic. And I'm like, but they could not answer the question of why are we fighting so hard for equality if you don't want to change the way society works? Because surely the whole point of fighting so hard for equality is to actually achieve it, to get to a point where we can actually achieve equality. And the only way we're ever going to do that is by putting aside the differences, by stopping the toxicity between us, by allowing each other a voice, by listening to each other. By stopping the animosity and the degradation, if that's the right word. All we can do is do better. But we'll never do that if we're not willing to change. Society as a whole has to change. We have to move forward. But what has become abundantly clear, especially in the last year, as the incel movement grows bigger and the toxic feminists just get louder, is that we cannot do it separately. The feminist movement and the men's rights movement, men and women cannot do this as a separate anything. We need to start working together. We need to stop the genders in society and start dealing with the issues. And the only way we do that is by combining the movements. And I get that it's a concept that most people don't understand and don't seem to want to listen to. It's been abundantly clear to me that people don't want to hear it. The concept of men and women joining together in society and actually making a difference as a whole. And instead of two separate movements, you have one movement. And the whole entire point and purpose of it all is that we're human beings. We're not separate. We're not separate in society. We're not one better than the other. We are equal Nobody is better than everybody else. And I do not understand how that is so radical. How putting aside our differences to change the one thing that we're fighting for, and we're fighting hard for, can be classed as radical. You know, the concept of hitting 2023, and instead of having a men's rights movement and a feminist movement, we have one singular movement, the movement of the human race standing side by side, or a gender movement, or a solidarity movement. I don't really know. It's a movement of the people, you know. I wouldn't really understand what to call it. We could call it anything you wanted. We can call it the flipping rainbow sparkle movement. You know. Unicorns of the world unite. Don't care. We've just got to stop pitting each other against each other. There's an actual phrase, not quite sure that one works, but anyway, we've just got to stop fighting each other. Start working together. And move forward. Change the direction of the fight. If we're ever going to achieve equality. At least in my head. Let me know what you think. Okay, guys? Or am I the only one who thinks like that?